All right, I'm recording. All right, welcome
Yeah.
to Yinsday night, Yin Yoga for the people. I guess I should start introducing myself since I'm putting this on YouTube. I'm Libby. I'm the owner and operator of In the Hills, which is my home-based yoga studio. I before quarantine was running 9 group classes a week out of my home and seeing numerous folks on a private appointment basis, whether that was for yoga. I also am a reflexologist and I read tarot and just seeing people for all sorts of reasons. I even marry people. So it's nice to be able to not only reach my students virtually, but now I've expanded and I'm putting myself out to the world on YouTube. So welcome. I do have a disclaimer in the description below. So just in general, please make sure that you've been released by a doctor to do any sort of exercise program, and In the Hills nor myself, Libby Gore, is responsible for any of your injuries. However, you shouldn't have any injuries happening, especially with Yin Yoga. A real brief word about Yin Yoga. I practiced it incorrectly for years, in that I would come into the posture and try to push myself as deep as I could go, sometimes having to catch my breath or fidget and move around to even get comfortable in the first iteration, I'll call it, of the posture. And after much study and a 40-hour training that I went through on it, I discovered that is exactly opposite of yin, which makes sense. Yin's passive, it's receiving. It is the idea of knowing and being present with everything just as it is. So when I speak to my students about practicing yin specifically, we talk about finding the three. And the three is it's more than a one or a two. If you come into a posture and you're at a one or a two, you've changed the shape of your body, but nothing has changed about the way it feels in your body. A three, there is sensation happening, but it's nothing that you have to tolerate or acclimate to or anything like that. Once you push past into 5, 6, and 7, you've gone way too far. You need to come back, and actually you're being counterproductive at that moment because the body is resisting, especially because we're working in the connective tissue and joints. It'll just shut down and you won't be able to access it. So we like to say we find the three, or we work on the Goldilocks principle in our yin practice. Tonight's particular sequence is going to have us moving through postures that are to open up the heart and the small intestine meridians, which are sister meridians. I'll quit rambling. I have a tendency to do that, especially when I've been in quarantine for 3.5 weeks. We'll just go ahead and come into a centered seat here. Our readings tonight that I'm going to give you are all from Eckhart Tolle. I guess that's how you pronounce his name. Y'all know who I'm talking about. So go ahead and come to a comfortable seated position, closing your eyes, relaxing your shoulders down your back, and bringing a lift into the heart space. Let the muscles of your face relax. Release your jaw so there's a separation between the teeth. Tongue is relaxed. And just draw your awareness into your heart space. collectively we've all had, even though there hasn't been much going on, we've had a lot going on. And it can take a toll on the heart, in regards to holding fear and anxiety about the future, or maybe even about your present moment. So tonight we're going to work toward understanding that the present moment is just as it should be. And releasing or letting go of our ideas of how the future should be, what our past means to us, and just bring ourselves back to this present moment, which is truly our only existence. So while you're just being present with the heart space, I'm gonna open with a quote here. Life will give you whatever is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. How do you know this is the experience you need? Because it is the experience you are having at the moment. We'll begin by bringing our hands to heart center. We'll inhale and reach forward and up, extending through the spine. And then on the exhale, drawing our hands back down to the heart, holding here to open our class with 3 ohms, taking an inhale. Fourth ohm resonates within the heart space. All right, our first posture is going to be on our backs. And so you'll just help yourself down onto your back. And it's just going to be a very passive leg stretch. So you're going to lengthen your legs up toward the sky and let them fall back toward your chest, and take hold either around the calves, around the backs of your thighs. If you have enough openness in the backs of your legs, you could take hold of the feet if you wanted to. I'm going to hang here at the calves though. And so we come into this shape, making sure that the backs of our necks are long. And oh, you could also use a strap here around the bottom of the feet. If hammies are really tight and don't come in at all toward the chest, by all means, you could take your strap or your scarf or whatever it is you have to use like that and hold it around the feet, having them straight up. But just settling into the shape of the posture. And I'm checking our time. And it's really easy to begin the roller coaster of thoughts, emotions, maybe a little bit of discomfort begins to arise in the body, but we want to try to let everything just settle, including the discomfort. We're taught in our yin practice to accept our present moment as exactly as it should be. So as long as you haven't pushed yourself too far in your posture, as gravity begins to help you deepen, you may experience a little bit of discomfort arise. And that's okay. Accept it as your present experience. And we breathe. People don't realize that now is all there ever is. There is no past or future except as memory or anticipation in the mind. Maybe you can relax your shoulders away from your ears a bit. Maybe you can be more present with your breath. We'll take 3 last breaths here. And then we'll take a deep inhale. Exhale, carefully bending through the knees and hugging our knees into our chest. And you can release your feet back to the mat. We are going to go back up with our legs, but you will definitely want your strap or scarf for this next one. We're going to do a wide angle pose with our legs. So basically a supine straddle split. But we'll use our strap or scarf to help us hold the position so that it's not too much on the inner thighs. And once again, as we move into this next posture, especially when it comes to the straddle split and the inner thighs. Please don't push past that 3. You definitely want to feel the sensation, the treatment, but it should not be overwhelming at all. Maybe even a bit on the underwhelming side is what we want to go for. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your strap and bring it around the soles of both feet, and you're going to start with the legs straight up, kind of right where we just came from. And then you'll take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, you'll allow your legs to split apart as the strap or scarf slides through your hands. And you want your arms fully extended. I failed to say that before we started sliding open. And that's so that the weight of the arms will hang for you. And then you'll probably want to do a loopy around your hands so that you're not having to have a tight grip on the strap to keep it in place. And when you find the intelligent edge, this is where we settle in and we breathe. Time isn't precious at all because it is an illusion. What you perceive is not time, but the one point that is out of time, the now. That is precious indeed. The more you are focused on time, past and future, the more you miss the now, the most precious thing that there is. Can we be fully present in the now and not fragmenting our life force energy by hooking into past or future, memory or anticipation? Pain and fear, anxiety and worry. But just relishing this moment exactly as it is, even if there is a little discomfort in the body.
Hey, Libby.
Yes?
Where are we supposed to be feeling this? Because my scarf isn't really working for...
Okay, so if it's not working, Leslie, you can hold at your inner thighs. Let me show you this from another angle, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
I feel it on the inner thighs.
Gotcha.
I also feel it in one of my ankles because I think I may have some adhered fascial tissue or scar tissue or something in that area, but that's just me. I've never heard anybody else say that they feel this in their ankles.
Okay.
Are you able to maintain by holding your inner thighs?
For the moment, but
Okay.
I think I may order myself a strap pretty soon off
Yeah.
Amazon.
Now, Leslie, I'm not trying to sell you stuff, but I've got one left on my shelf.
I don't know. I don't have a way to get it.
Do you, if you go out, you can do a porch pickup from me, or
Oh.
I can also ship from my house now.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
It would be next to nothing to ship it over across town to you.
No, I would love to just drive out there and get it off your porch.
Yeah, I can certainly do a porch pickup with you.
Okay, sounds good.
That's essential, right?
Absolutely. I need to see some deer and turkeys.
I know. There was a turkey on the other side of the pasture a moment ago. I've been watching for him. I'll certainly try to catch them on the camera if they come through. I set up next to Queen Rosemary today. Can y'all hear the birds?
Yes, it sounds great.
I think so. Maybe the frogs will sing for us here in a moment. We'll have 2 last breaths here in straddle. And then to come up out of this, you'll start to slide your feet back to center as you pull on your strap for support of the legs. And then you can bend your knees and release your feet back to the mat here. So just, pardon me, just hold here for a few breaths, observing. And maybe you want to lengthen your legs on your mat and observe them lengthened out. This is your practice, so give yourself whatever your body's asking for. I will say this in regards to a yin practice, and this was another thing that I used to do incorrectly. With our yin practice, we should avoid the urge to purge. And the purging would be coming out of a very strong posture like straddle and immediately windshield wipering the legs or doing some sort of yang activity to try to flush that sensation out of our bodies. That goes against the idea of a yin practice of just accepting whatever it is or whatever it is not inside your body. So before I went through my intensive training, between every single posture, we do some sort of purgative action. And I would always say, got to have a little bit of yang between our yin postures. And that was incorrect. So it's definitely been a new journey for myself and a new journey for my students. Just being with whatever sensation is left, whatever residual is left from the posture in your body, and just keeping it there, having it be. So I think that's an interesting point to think of. Okay, this is the last set of postures on our back before we come up for a little bit in our sequence. Now, it is not a requirement of this pose to elevate your hips on a block. We're going to do apanasana, so knee to chest. So it can be done by just drawing one knee into the chest and lengthening the opposite leg out. This can be fantastic. However, for those of you that may want a little bit more stretch or opening in the lengthened leg hip, what we need to do is place that hip into a bit of hyperextension. And that's what the block will do for you. Once again, you are not, it is not a requirement of the pose to be elevated with the hips. That's just going to add more to the lengthened leg hip. So to come onto your block properly, if you're going to, you want to press through your feet to lift your hips, and you'll slide your block under hips and sacrum, not your low back. The blocks are too much to have that in your low back, especially for 5 or 10 minutes. So I'm elevated on my block. And if you have a bolster at home, this can be done on a bolster as well. Or you could stack some blankets. You know, use what you have around you to make this work. So you'll draw your right knee into your chest and just clasp your hands around your shin or behind your thigh, whatever is easiest for you to grab. You could also use your strap here if you've got short arms and it's uncomfortable. You can loop it around with your strap and just hold on to your strap. Just something to give a little bit of force down on the knee. And then on an exhale, you'll lengthen out through the left leg, whether the hips are elevated or not. Now, I will say this, if the hips are not elevated and lengthening the leg out is way too much, it shoots you way past your 3, you could certainly leave that opposite knee bent for an even more, or an even gentler treatment, more gentle treatment of the left hip there. Let me check our time. Okay. The power for creating a better future is contained in the present moment. You create a good future by creating a good present. Check your usual suspects. Make sure you're not clenching your teeth or squeezing your shoulders up. Check to make sure the back of the neck is long. Maybe you're squeezing a butt cheek that you could let go of. Just try to surrender and allow the pose to settle. Using the pose to grow a deeper understanding of your physical being and your present moment. There's a bee that is going to town on the rosemary blossoms back here. All right, take a deep inhale. Exhale, slowly release your right knee, bringing the foot down to the mat, and then you can carefully draw your left leg back in so that both knees are bent now, both soles of the feet on the mat. And once again, just stop here for a moment of observation. This is a great time to observe because you've just given different treatments to each side of the body. There go the frogs. You're happy tonight. All right, let's go ahead and move immediately into the other side. So you're going to carefully draw the left knee into your chest now, taking hold, either clasping around the shin, behind the thigh, or using your strap to kind of lasso around the knee and hold there. Once you find a comfortable hold position, on an exhale, if it's suitable for your body and your practice this evening, or rather in this present moment, you can lengthen the right leg out on the mat. And just let it be passive. You're not holding it off the mat or trying to hold your foot a certain way. You're just letting it be. And we move into silence, allowing things to settle. And here's something that's reassuring. The moment you realize you are not present, you are present. Whenever you are able to observe your mind, you are no longer trapped in it. Another factor has come in, something that is not of the mind, the witnessing presence. So the very act of recognizing that the mind has wandered off, it immediately brings you back into the present moment because you've recognized that the mind has wandered. That's reassuring to me because my mind certainly does wander off quite a bit. Gotta wrangle it back in quite regularly. All right, friends, we'll take one last breath here. Apanasana in the chest. And then taking a deep inhale, we'll exhale and let the left foot float back down to the mat. We'll bend back carefully through our right knee. Now, if you are elevated on a block, a bolster, or blankets, I want you to please pay careful attention to how I'm going to guide you off of the block because you've been in a back extension for a while now. what I want for you to do is posteriorly tilt your pelvis. That's tucking under with your tailbone, and you'll press into your feet to lift your hips, remove whatever support you had, and then keep tucked and roll your spine one vertebra at a time down to the mat. And this is a lovely place to stop and observe. If you were elevated on a block, you may notice that your low back is touching the mat. That will happen for a lot of folks. Not everybody, but a lot of people will experience that full release of the low back. That is the psoas muscle that's been released. All right, you can roll onto one side and press yourself up. So this next posture, oh, there's a turkey. He's right there. I'm going to show y'all. I hope y'all can see him. Let's see. I can't see. Can y'all see him? He just came out from behind that tree. I can't see my laptop at this angle, so I don't know if y'all can see him or not. Let's see. He's right there in the clearing between the trees. She, actually. The males right now, they have their fatty part on their chest right now. And my husband and I read the other night that that's to impress the ladies. They get fat every year during mating season right on their chest so that they can strut around for the ladies, which I think is just hilarious. I think it's wonderful. For those of you that know me and are friends with me on Facebook, you saw my picture of hopefully you saw my picture of the big guy yesterday. Aaron and I, oh, that's terrible. Let me fix that. Aaron and I watched that guy all morning long with his tail feathers all out in his chest. And he just kept on strutting back and forth for the ladies. It was wonderful. Okay. Speaking of not being able to stay in the present, well, I guess it is because he's right here. Okay, this next posture is not one that I bring into the sequence often, but it felt like a good way to open around the sides of the heart. So it's a side lying posture. Oh, we're gonna come onto our right hip. So I'm gonna mirror y'all and come onto my left. So I'm just coming onto my hip with my legs stacked, and I'm bringing my hand, it's not directly under my shoulder, sitting me up too tall. I'm kind of reclined, and I don't want to press and lift up out of it. I want to just let it sink, and even that shoulder comes up near my ear, and I start feeling all the opening coming into the upper side body rib cage area, like right around the breast line. You may feel some more down toward the hip. This top hand can just rest in front for balance. Actually don't have, there we go. I was woeing back a little bit on that. I want to make sure that the hips are stacked. And we'll go ahead and settle into the posture here.
Libby, are the knees bent?
They can be bent slightly. I was just playing around with that. Now the traditional structure of the posture has the legs straight, but honestly, Leslie, that doesn't change a thing with what's going on in my side body, and it's a little easier to balance. I don't feel like I'm teetering, so I'm actually glad that you suggested that. Also, if this becomes too much on the wrist, you could come on to knuckles. Your main focus is just letting all of this relax and sag really down toward the mat. Some changes look negative on the surface. I'm sure we could all attest to that with our present circumstances. Some changes look negative on the surface, but you will soon realize that space is being created in your life for something new to emerge. And I'll say this from my studies of energy and movement of energy, that a new co-creative endeavor always begins with discomfort, because you have to have that discomfort to kind of push you to move into the new, because we can become very settled and complacent when things are comfortable. And I'm not saying comfortable is bad. It's not. I mean, it's kind of nice, but when you feel discomfort in your life, look for a new co-creative journey to begin soon, or creative journey for those of you that don't that feel like you are the sole energy, that there is no outer energetic presence that has influence on your life. So creating that space, which is what we're doing in our bodies at this very moment. You know, we hold this, and it moves into that stage of discomfort, because it gets deeper and deeper and deeper as it draws you in. But it's creating space in our physical body. Specifically with this type of sequence, we're opening up our connective, our fascial tissue and our joints, promoting synovial fluid for movement. All right, you can help yourself up out of that. We're going to come into our next posture on this same side. So our next posture is pigeon pose. And so you may want to have your block or a blanket to help support this posture for yourself. So we're going to come on to hands and knees. If you're going to use a blanket, you'll want your blanket to be, I'm going to use a blanket. So I normally have my blankets folded like this. I'm going to put another fold in it so it's nice and thick, like a seat, because that's exactly how I'm going to be using it, is as a seat. And I'm going to turn on my mat so that y'all can see the leg that is going to be up front that I'm going to use my seat with. Okay, so to come into this posture, we start on hands and knees. You're going to step your right knee forward. Uh-oh, the blanket's in the way. Let me redo that. Do over. Okay, you're going to step your right knee forward just behind your right wrist or at the base of your right thumb. And then you're going to walk your right leg across your mat to the left so that your foot is forward of your groin. You'll turn your back toes under and start walking your back knee back as much as you can to reach your edge. And if your hip has not made it all the way to the mat, that's what your blanket's for, to kind of stuff, or you could use a block, like I said, to stuff under that hip and support it so that you're not hanging out in midair. From here, you'll take a deep inhale and lengthen through your spine, and then exhale and fold forward. You can either stay on forearms like I am, or you could come all the way down, head to the mat, arms straight out if you'd like, or extended out. I'm going to hang on my forearms though.
Hey, Libby.
Yes.
This one's always really rough on my knee.
On your back knee or your front knee?
My front knee.
Okay. Then you'll want to take the reclined version of this posture. Let me check the time. Okay. So I'll show you how to come in. And for those of you watching this video, I don't teach that posture in that manner a lot because a lot of people have issues with the knees in it. So you can come to the same exact pose in a reclined fashion. So to do that, you're going to come onto your back. You'll cross your right ankle over your left knee, figure 4 style. And then you'll draw your left knee up into your chest and either take hold behind your thigh or around your shin. And you should be feeling that same opening right in the pork chop area, right here, of the right hip. This is another, if you can't reach, you can use a strap to hold the leg in place. So I'm holding, let me show you this from another angle, show you how I'm holding. So I'm holding either behind, go between the legs, holding either behind the thigh or around the shin, or you can use your strap in that same manner. Does that work better for you, Leslie?
Yes.
Very good. It's so nice to have students in the class with me when I do these recordings, because I mean, especially for things like that. So thank you so much, Leslie, for speaking up about that, because I'm sure somebody watching this video was having the same issue. And so there's always a way to make something work in your body. Sometimes letting things go is an act of far greater power than defending or hanging on. I've got somebody pulling up and they're looking at me. I have no idea who it is. Now they're backing down the driveway. All right, it's time to come up out of this posture. So if you're in full pigeon like I am, you can help yourself up onto your hands first. You'll remove your support under your hip. Let your weight come off onto that hip, and you can draw your back leg around. I found that that's the easiest way. There are a ton of ways you can come out of that posture, but in my opinion, that's the most gentle. Somebody's looking for a house out here, I guess. They're probably thinking, what in the world is that lady doing in her pasture? All right, we're going to go ahead and come into the side lying position for the left hip. So the left hip is the one that's down. And actually, it's not for the left hip, it's for the left side body around the heart. So you're going to stack your hips. And if that feels like you're kind of teetering on the edge there, once the hips are stacked, you can bend the knees. And then here's the important part. You want to let all of this sink into it. And once again, that shoulder will kind of come up near the ear. Now, you're not squeezing it up. It's just in the structure of your body there, because you're not holding tension to hold this part of your body up. It's just gonna do that. So go ahead and settle in for side reclining posture for the left side. We've had lots of excitement in this yin class. A turkey and a visitor. In these quarantine days, having somebody drive into your driveway is certainly a surprise. It's excitement. Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. I've found in my own personal life that that is the quickest way to experience abundance in your life. Just an overwhelming amount of abundance is just recognizing the abundance that's already present. Certainly not looking for things or people or events to fulfill you and to create that abundance, but just recognizing what is already abundant in your life. And it may sound corny, but when you do that, abundance that you never even imagined will just be there at the perfect time. just shifting up out of this. And we'll come into pigeon on the left side of the body. So I'm going to flip around on my mat again so that y'all can see the side that is receiving the treatment, left side. Okay, so you can come into that reclined position. I'll remind you real quick of those steps. You'll come onto your back. This time it will be left ankle over right knee, figure 4 style. And then you'll lift the right foot off the mat to drop the right knee in toward your chest to feel that treatment on the left outer hip and buttock area, the pork chops. Okay, for those of us that are going to come into the standard version, I guess, of the posture, we'll step our left knee forward to the base of the left thumb, just behind the wrist. And then you'll walk your foot and shin across your mat to the right, turn your back toe under and start walking your back knee back. And that's where you can grab your block or blanket and prop that hip and either come forward onto forearms, or you can come all the way down onto the mat. And we hold here, and we breathe, and we remain present. How do you let go of attachment to things? Don't even try. It's impossible. Attachment to things drops away by itself when you no longer seek to find yourself in them. Take 2 more breaths here in pigeon. And you'll carefully help yourself up. If you're in the version that I'm in, you'll remove your support and let your weight come off onto the left hip. And then you'll draw your back leg forward. And we'll go ahead and come into our next posture, which is Sphinx pose. So we'll come onto our bellies. Like so. Now, traditional Sphinx pose has the elbows beneath the shoulders. Palms are flat to the mat. But what I want you to do is come here and immediately do an assessment of your low back. If this is painful or quite irritating in your low back, I want you to draw your forearms forward a little bit to lessen the arch. But if you're okay in your low back, the elbows can be beneath the shoulders. Now, with this one, we do apply just a little bit of isometrics because our focus is the heart with tonight's version of this posture. You want to give a gentle pressing down into the forearms and then just a gentle drag back toward your hips, and you'll feel your heart move forward. Now, you can be here with the head just looking forward. You don't want to like collapse into the back of your neck. You want a long back of the neck. Or some of my students like to take blocks and let their head rest on a block. That can be very calming for the central nervous system to have your head supported in that manner. But just choose how you'd like to take the posture here and settle in. Try not to squeeze your butt cheeks. I don't know why that is so difficult not to do in this posture, but that's the first thing my body wants to do, is squeeze in my butt. So just let that go. Now, if we were doing this posture in a yang class, we would have so much more engagement going on in the body. But the only really added engagement that we want is that isometric press down into the forearms and drag back toward the hips just to open the heart. All you really need to do is accept this moment fully. You are then at ease in the here and now, and at ease with yourself. I just caught myself squeezing my butt cheeks, so check your cheeks.
It must just be some natural reflex.
I don't know what it is, but I usually have to tell myself about 10 times during this posture.
Yeah, same.
Move your butt cheeks. And I start squeezing them without even recognizing that I'm doing it. And then I'm like, oh gosh, I've been squeezing my cheeks. Taking a deep inhale. Exhale, you'll stack one hand on top of the other and bring your forehead down to your hand, resting here to observe. All right, you can press yourself up. And our last posture is fish pose. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to come into it, just depending on how your upper back and shoulders are feeling tonight and what props you have available to you. So let's say all you have is a blanket. That's fine. What I'd like for you to do with your blanket is make it into kind of a roll that has got a little bit of girth to it, and you'll place that horizontally across your mat. So to come back over it, you'll want your blanket hitting right around the base of your shoulder blades. So if you wear a bra, right around the bra strap line is where that's going to be. So you'll come back onto it and then let your shoulders come back toward the mat. They may not touch, but they're moving in that direction. And then arms come palms up out to a T. So that's if you have just a blanket to work with that. If you have two blocks, you can come into a much deeper version of the posture. So the blocks can go a few different ways as well. And this will be our last posture before Shavasana. So for a mild treatment using the blocks, you're going to have the block on low, horizontally across the base of your shoulder blades. And so you come back. I find it easiest to put the block on the mat first. Have your other block handy though. And you just kind of, okay, that's about bra strap line. And if you're on low, your head will probably come back all the way to the mat. But if it doesn't, that's what your second block is for. You can use it as a pillow. And then arms come out to a T, palms up. And you'll feel the opening coming into the front of the shoulders. So a little deeper treatment, same way, block horizontal across, except it's on medium. So you just kind of ease yourself back onto it, getting a much deeper opening, and your head block can either be on low, medium, or tall, whatever feels best. Arms come out to a T, palms up. In my body, in my humble opinion, a much deeper variation of the pose is to have the block vertically up the spine. And if you have it like this, then the bottom edge of the block is going to be roughly in line with the base of your shoulder blade, the bra strap area. And you'd come back onto that the same way, just putting your block back. This is gonna follow the line of your spine now. And you ease yourself down to open back over the block. Use your second block as your pillow block, and arms come out to a T, palms up. Legs can be however you want them. You can leave them bent. You can lengthen the legs out on the mat. You could come with the legs butterflied open, soles of the feet together, whatever feels right in your own body. So, settling in for the next few minutes. Accept, then act. Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it. Always work with it, not against it. Make it your friend and ally, not your enemy. This will miraculously transform your entire life. Okay. We'll now move into Shavasana, but please listen to my instructions on how to come up off of your support. You're going to first bring your hands back by your hips. You will tuck your chin into your chest, keep it tucked, and press yourself up. And then you can move your supports, whether it's your blanket or your blocks, off of your mat and come on to your back, lengthening your legs out from your body, letting the feet land about max distance apart, just flopping open to the sides like they naturally want to do. Work your shoulders up under you so that you feel an opening in your heart, and arms extend out to the sides of the body, palms up. Letting go, I whisper. It's okay to release. Letting go, my body says back to me, thank you. Letting go, I find a silence and a stillness so sweet. Letting go, I feel my body welcome in peace. This feeling of centeredness, groundedness, and ease becomes available anytime I'm willing to let go and welcome release. As the sound of the bell enters into your awareness, let it bring with it an awareness of your surroundings, beginning to deepen your breath and turn your senses outward once again.
Slowly begin to bring movements back into your body, starting with fingertips and toes, hands and feet, wrists and ankles, arms and legs. Whole body making movements that feel good to you. And when you're ready, make your way over onto your right side using arm or blanket as a pillow, remaining there for just a couple of breaths, allowing all weight off the heart. And then you can gently help yourself up to a comfortable seated position. We'll end where we began. I invoke favor, peace, and prosperity and health upon each of us this day. May we experience full restoration, nothing missing, nothing broken. That which has been taken from us, physical and not, may it be returned to us sevenfold. And that which was once broken in our lives, bodies, minds, or spirits, may it be mended like new. May all beings be happy, healthy, and free, and may we practice with patience and know much peace. Namaste. Thank you to you ladies who joined me in the room tonight, and thank you to everyone out in YouTube land that went through this with us. I hope it was good to you. Namaste.